This Decorah Coach Conversation brought to you by Hacker Nilsson, CPAs and Business Consultants, Riser Financial, Viking State Bank, and Olson Explosives. We're here with head coach Pat Trewin. And Coach, week one, very exciting finish to that one. Your kids stepped up and got it done against a very good walk-on team. How did you win that game last Friday night?
Probably, we had made a few changes, but the main thing is our kids played really hard. They believed in themselves. We put a lot of guys on the field. We have quite a few guys who can really fill that role of being a offensive or defensive one-way player. And then we have a few guys playing both ways. And then we have a lot of guys playing 4 or 5 special teams that might not rotate quite as much on offense or defense. So our depth was a big key to this one. It's important to have a lot of guys out and a lot of guys who want to get after it and play hard. So the defense really was awesome the whole night long. They harassed the quarterback, and then they covered very well. And then, the running game, they were able to break about two running plays was the only thing that they got out of it. So, really some excellent defense. We made a few special teams plays that we needed to make. We had a couple hiccups in there that were tough. And then we moved the ball. 350 yards of offense for us in any game is a good thing, but in a first game of the year, that's pretty good against a good team.
And talk about your team's mental toughness that they showed. You had a lead going into the fourth quarter, had it really midway through the fourth quarter, gave up those 18 points, walk-on, took the lead late, but your kids never lost their confidence. How big was that?
Yeah, what an amazing thing for a bunch of players and the group to rise up. We were able to stay calm enough to make some plays. I mean, Briggs put a few plays together in the passing game. We were able to up the tempo just a little bit to get them on their heels. As soon as we could get a couple of first downs, then we were able to string a few more together. But the guys really got after it. So a few of those things we've been practicing worked out pretty well.
Of course, after week number one, you're always going to have things to work on. What tops that focus this week in practice?
The main thing is discipline. We had 6 penalties, and probably 4 of them hurt drives pretty good. We were able to overcome a couple of them, but you can't overcome that many penalties. So we've focused on let's get off the ball together on time. We've got to be able to mix up the counts a little bit. We don't have to do it all the time, but we got to do it just enough. But when we mix up the count, they need to jump, not us. That was difficult. And then making sure that we're clean in the special teams and offensively we're just a couple little adjustments we're going to try to make. We're not going to try to do much that's new. We might have 1 play or 2 plays that look new. The rest is just clean up the blocking, get off on the blocks. So I'd say not making the mistakes on the special teams and not making the mistakes, especially in the penalty world. We've got to try to cut that back on that.
Is it a little bit of a weird thing knowing the fact that you got the result you wanted last Friday night, but there's still a lot of ways that you can play better?
Oh yeah, it's a week 1 game and a week 1 game against a really good team, and they didn't play perfectly either. They're going to have a fine season. They're going to be really top quality still, and in Class 2A, they're going to be pretty tough to beat still. I don't think that they had their best game. I think that they were prepared, but we threw a lot at their younger offensive linemen or newer offensive linemen. Coach Tungen had some blitzes in there that he dialed up that were effective, but then our coverage was really strong too. So for a first game, it was probably a pretty good first game on both teams' parts. But we know we got to improve. We really want to always take a big step from week 1 to week 2 in execution and cutting down on mistakes. That's what we hope for Friday.
And you make the trip 20 miles west to Cresco on Friday night to take on the Crestwood Cadets. What challenges do they present?
Well, Cresco's always big and physical. They're going to try to run it down our throats. And their quarterback throws the ball about 50, 60 yards in the air. We got to make sure we get under some of those. We got it before it, when they land, they need to land in our hands. And then, are we going to be physical enough up front to get after their line and fight pressure instead of just blowing the gap? We've got to do our techniques correctly, find where the pullers are, find where their first threat is, and we've got to try to win the line of scrimmage. And that'll be tough. It's a rivalry game. They didn't have their great first week, but it's a first week for them, and that, first week's sometimes they say a little about your team, but first week to second week, they'll be a brand new ball club. It's a rivalry game. It's I don't know if we have a trophy for it yet. We should probably get a trophy for this rivalry game. But the walk-on game, the Cresco game are always big-time rivalry games, and they won't even look like the same team. We've told our guys that. I think they believe it, but it's yet to be seen whether we're going to come out and get after them or they're going to get after us. But we'll try to have them ready.
All right, Coach, keep your kids healthy. We wish best of luck here in week 2.
Thank you.
This Decorah Coach Conversation brought to you by Hacker Nelson CPAs and Business Consultants, Riser Financial, Viking State Bank, and Olson Explosives.